Oh, we throw them in a 30-day rehab and hope it works, and it
Mhm.
doesn't work.
I think that's the first time I've ever heard of someone's pride getting them sober, you
Mm-mm.
know? Normally, it's the other way around.
Looking back, it's like all of those things had to happen for me to be who I am and be where I am. But I can teach people through that process. This isn't going to work. If you believe it's not going to work, it's not going to work. As soon as you go, this is going to work, it works. Everybody's different. And I tell everybody every pathway to recovery or sobriety is okay.
Hello, hello, and welcome back to Retrieving Sanity with your podcast host, Keegan. And this is your podcast for all mental health, addiction recovery issues, and topics. And we've got some awesome news today because we are bringing in a heavy hitter who has absolutely zero time for traditional spin dry rehab models. You might know her as the female Dr. Drew or the battery recharger, but Dr. Callie Estes is the force behind the addictions coach and sober on demand. She's taken the recovery world by storm, shifting from working in maximum security prisons to coaching CEOs and celebrities who can't afford to hit pause on their lives. She's here to tell us why the old ways of treating addiction are failing, why 90% of what we call mental illness might actually be physical, and how she started a global recovery empire. So, my first question today is, well, how are you? But also, is traditional rehab like meant to keep people sick? Is that kind of what's going on there?
So first, thanks for having me on the show, Keegan. That was an awesome introduction. That's probably the best introduction I've had yet. So that's pretty cool. Yeah. So I've been in this space 27 years. I've watched the spindle, the revolving door of people come and go, come and go, come and go. And I hear the staff inside a treatment center say, well, they're not ready. The client's not ready.
Mm,
Like, wait a minute, you're providing a service you're not succeeding at and then blaming the client. Like, where else do we do that?
yeah.
You go to the dentist, they don't fix your tooth right. You don't blame the client. Your fault we didn't put the crown on, right? It's the dentist's fault we didn't put the crown on. So I'm like, this has got to be, excuse me, the dumbest thing I've ever heard. So that tells me that treatment centers don't have the right ability to fix the client or help the client in that capacity. So I started thinking, what are we doing wrong?
Mhm.
Well, and this is my controversial piece. So this is going to get me in trouble, but this is going to blow up the people on the podcast. So here we go. You come to me as a clinician and you say to me, I have anxiety, I'm worried about all these things. And I open up this DSM book and I go, oh, okay. Well, according to this book, you have generalized anxiety disorder, and I'm going to give you some sort of medication
Mhm. Yeah.
for that,
Yeah.
right? So our go-to is what? Xanax,
Yep.
right? Let me give you Xanax. Based upon a 15-minute conversation and a book
Mhm.
that's 40, 50 years old, I just told you what's wrong with you. That's bullshit.
Yeah.
Like bullshit. So let's do blood work. Let's see why you have anxiety. Is it a
Ooh.
mineral deficiency? Did you just have a fight with your wife before you came in and you're like anxious from the fight? Did you lose your job?
Ooh.
We're not taking in consideration the physical, the mental, the social aspect of this. We're just going, here, take this medication.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah.
That's what's wrong. So that's why I think it's broken in the condensed version.
Ooh, okay. I love that because that is all what I'm about. Because anything like medication wise, I'm like, do I really need it? And I was on actual medication after I was in rehab for a little while, but my rehab wasn't the typical rehab, like 30 days thing. Mine was 9 months. So mine was a little bit different, but I mean, that's why I think mine worked, not because like they did a whole lot of different things. I think it was just because the stint of time I had to literally hit pause on my life and literally restart it. But in that recovery journey that I've done so far, like you're saying, there's so many different things that go into one symptom, really. And that's the crazy thing, is that we can't treat it with a pill, because if it worked, well, we wouldn't be in this conversation right now, would we?
Exactly. And you had the luxury of 9 months. There's
Mm-hmm.
some people that don't have that.
Mm-mm.
They have kids and they have, a wife or a husband and they have a job
Yep.
and they don't have the ability to go away. So it's like, well, what do we do?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we throw them in a 30-day rehab and hope it works, and it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't work.
Yep.
Not just time wise, they're also not addressing any specific core issues.
Mm-hmm.
So when I work with somebody and I do an executive reset, it's 5 days, 5 hours a day with me or more.
Wow.
I've done 10 hours a day with a client where we're doing NLP and memory reconstruction therapy and CBT and performance coaching and blood work so we can
Wow.
figure out why you feel the way you do. And then we get into, supplements and biohacking and all of that kind of stuff
Mm-hmm.
to fix the chemical first.
Mm-hmm.
Then we fix the trauma and all the other stuff too. Because every time you talk about a trauma, it rewires the brain as you're having that exact trauma in that moment.
Mm.
So people don't realize that. So when they say you need to go to therapy and they're in therapy 2, 3, 4 years,
Mm-hmm.
that's screwed up too.
Yeah, it's just resetting 2, 4 more years added on to that same trauma, right?
You're just your brain, the way your brain works, you have, the back of the brain, the front of the brain. The back of the brain is your subconscious.
Mm-hmm.
We only use 5% of our brain.
Mm-hmm.
So most of that crap that's stored back there, we're not even thinking about. And let's say you have a trauma. Let's say when you were a kid, you got attacked by a dog
Mm-hmm.
and you were wearing a red vest.
Mm.
So every time you see a red vest, the back of your brain goes, ooh, remember the dog attack. Remember the dog attack. And it shoots to the front of the brain.
Mm.
And the conscious brain may all of a sudden, you might get sweaty or you might stop and pause and go, why am I worried about the guy with the red jacket? Like you can't figure it out.
Mm.
Subconscious brain is there because it's saying there's a trauma.
Huh.
Well, we put you in trauma therapy and what do? We talk about the red jacket and the kid and the dog.
Mm-hmm.
And what it does is your brain goes, ooh, let's put that in the front of the brain. Now it's here.
Mm.
So now your trauma's in the front of the brain. So now it's even worse than it was before you started therapy.
Ooh. Oh.
Welcome to therapy and addiction treatment the way it is. And that's why people don't ever seem to get better. And they're in therapy a year, 2 years, 3 years. And I'm like, again, broken model. We're
Mhm.
not solving the issue. All we're doing is keeping you stuck and taking your money.
Yeah. And that's really not fair to the person going through it,
It's not, that's the model we've created.
Mhm.
Like if you go back in time, like that's Freud's model. That's what all of therapy is based upon. You're sick.
Mhm.
I'm the doctor. I have the answers. You're going to follow what I say, and it's going to take forever to get well. Versus, more Carl Jung, which
Mhm.
is more you're whole, you're well. Let's get you to peak performance.
Yeah.
Let's figure out the pieces you need, in society, in your relationship, in your biochemistry,
Mhm.
and make you 100%. So that's what I do different.
Ah, okay. And so it sounds like you may have had some personal experience yourself with addiction and recovery in that sense, because whenever I was in therapy in rehab, I was like, man, Kelly, you are an amazing therapist. This is awesome, but you're lacking something. And she's like, what's that? I was like, you're lacking the experience that I had. And I was like, so there's something we just can't vibe on a certain level. Like it was great. I learned a whole lot about myself, but a lot of it I've learned after the fact is like kind of what you're saying is that just talking about this stuff didn't really do a whole lot. It just kind of made me feel a little bit worse sometimes. So what's your
Yeah.
backstory?
So I didn't think I had a problem. I thought I was normal
Mm.
until I was in college, and Thursday night was ladies' night. So all my female friends would go out and they would all hook up with guys, and I would always come home solo.
Mm.
And I was like 40 pounds overweight. I wasn't into hair and makeup. I was just kind of there,
Mhm.
And I'd come home and I would have cake and I'd sit on the floor and I'm eating cake with my hands and I'm kind of crying and there's cake on me, cake on the wall, cake on the dog. And one of my roommates walks in and she goes, dude, there's something wrong with you. And I was like, this is normal. Like in my house growing up, we would eat cake when there was a problem.
Huh.
And she's like, no, this isn't right. So I went to the counselor.
Mhm.
The counselor opened up that DSM
Mm.
back in the 90s and said, well, do you throw up? And I'm like, well, not voluntarily. So she said, well, you're not bulimic. Do you restrict food? No. So you're not anorexic.
Mhm.
You're just fat. Sent me to the fat doctor.
Ugh.
So the fat doctor put me on fen-phen. And this has gone way back. So fen-phen was that weight loss drug after Dexatrim. And I took it and I went from 140 pounds to 90 pounds
Oof.
in like 2 months.
Wow.
And I thought I looked good. I looked awful. And then they recalled fen-phen because it was ruining the lining of your heart.
Oof.
So when they did that, I switched to Rip Fuel in the gym, which was Mahawang, Guarana, and ephedra.
Okay.
Ephedra is like the base of methamphetamine, and loved it. And then they recalled that. So I switched to speed. So I'm like, okay, now I'm doing street drugs. And I ended up, I was 23, I was in Dallas, and I was having pain in my heart, and I went to the ER.
Mhm.
And of course, Dallas, the doctor's like, okay, honey, what are you taking? And like a good addict, you're like, nothing.
Yeah.
I don't know what you're talking about,
Mhm.
And
we're gonna
he's
get in
like, well,
trouble.
yeah. And you don't want him to know because you don't want to stop. And he said, you need to stop doing this. And I was like, yeah, okay, whatever.
Mhm.
6 months later, different doctor, different hospital in New York.
Mm.
Can I cuss on your podcast?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So I'm in this hospital in New York, and the doctor goes, "You're going to fucking kill yourself." And I went, "Did you just drop the, like a doctor drop the F bomb?" And I'm
Wow.
sitting there and I'm 23 and I'm like, "What did you say?" And he said it again. And I'm like, "Okay, now you have my attention."
Mhm.
And then he showed me like all the EKGs and all the stuff. And he's like, "You'll be dead in 6 months.
Wow.
Bottom line, your heart it can't keep this pace."
Mhm.
And I was like, "Okay." So he gives me an OA pamphlet and an NA. I go to OA, Overeaters Anonymous. It's in a church basement. Everybody's in their 50s. I'm 23. I'm like, this isn't for me.
Mm-mm.
So I'm like, we'll try NA. So I get to NA.
Mhm.
They have caffeine, they have sugar,
Yep.
and they have cigarettes.
Yep.
And you're 23 and you're like, my jam. So here we are. Next thing you know, back on speed.
Yep.
So a friend of mine drags me to a yoga class.
Okay.
And I'm like, I don't want to do yoga.
Mhm.
So we're in this heated yoga class. It's 104 degrees. I'm sweating. I'm miserable. And I'm complaining. Like, it's hot. I don't want to be here. And she looks at me and she was in recovery for alcohol.
Mhm.
And she goes, "Shut the fuck up." And I just went, "What?" And she goes, "All you're doing is complaining. And I'm sick of it." So I was like, okay. So after the class, the instructor came up and he's like, "Listen, I'm in recovery for alcohol." I'm like, "Good for both of you." Like, you know? And he's like, "I'm going to help you get through this on a yoga mat."
Mm.
Like, all right. So he taught me how to do 10 sun salutations every time I wanted to either overeat or get high. And I was like, okay. He goes, "Just make me a deal. Get high, but do 10 sun salutations." It's like, okay. Right? Have you ever done 10 sun salutations? It takes 30 minutes to do them. So to him, I'm like cussing him out, but I'm like, I made a commitment. So I can't go back on my commitment. And I've got to prove him wrong. So now I do 10 sun salutations. Now I'm hot. Now I'm tired. And I don't feel like getting high. So I'm like, fuck it, I'm done.
Oh.
That's how I got sober.
Oh man. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm not meaning to laugh. It's so hard. Oh, that's just hilarious. Because I was like sitting there, I was like, I've heard the sun salutation in yoga before, but I can't remember what it is. And so,
Oh, hands up, hands on the mat. Then you got to jump back. Then you got to go flat. Then you got to come up. Then you got to put your hiney in the air. Then you got to breathe for 3 breaths. It's a whole thing.
uh-huh.
And I didn't know what I was agreeing to. And then once I agreed to it, I was like, well, I can't let him be right. I can't be right. I have to be right. So that's what got my stubbornness is what got me sober,
Uh-huh.
doing those 10 sun salutations. And he knew that exercise boosts the serotonin, dopamine in your brain. And he knew if he could get me for 30 minutes doing a dopamine exercise, I wouldn't want to get high. And he just wasn't going to tell me that. And then I figured it out and I'm like, this is magic. And then I got clean and I was like, okay, I did it.
Oh man, I absolutely love that. That is way too cool. And I mean, it's just, it's just I think that's the first time I've ever heard of someone's pride getting them sober. You know, normally it's the other way around.
I had to be right because I was like, this isn't gonna work, but I'll do it. I had to be right,
Yeah.
knowing the whole time I'm like, this sucks, and
Mhm.
I did it. And I was like, once I got sober, I was like, okay, so exercise is a big component,
Mhm.
and that became a big part of my life. And it wasn't until that point.
Yeah.
And then it became, how do I eat? Because I'm an overeater.
Mhm.
I'm a foodie. So how do I eat if I'm not taking speed and I'm not taking diet pills? What does that look like?
Mhm.
So I had to change my whole life around food and what I thought of food. So that was a big piece of it. And
Yeah.
then, dealing with, my childhood trauma, that was a big piece of it.
Mhm.
And then letting all that stuff go. It's like, why am I harboring this? What's the point?
Mhm.
You keep harboring this trauma and it's like, I'm not getting anywhere.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's kind of like a treadmill of a sorts, right? But we're not getting that muscle that we're hoping to get because we never get off the damn treadmill to let ourselves rest and build it up. So,
Exactly.
do you think that a lot of your reset of sorts was based around one or the other of your triggers or underlying problems per se? So, the food, the childhood trauma, and everything else, And was there one that was like the key, or was it just like a conglomeration of all of it?
So it was all of it. I mean, what made me an addict was my dad when I was 8.
Mhm.
My dad and mom were having a messy divorce. And my mom dropped me off at my dad's house to go shopping.
Mhm.
And I was 8, and she said, feed the kids, because there's 2 of us. My sister's 6 years younger. Feed the kids. I'm going to get groceries. And he looked at me and he said, she doesn't need to eat. She's fat. And that's where it started.
Ugh.
So my trauma was my dad saying, you're fat. You know, of course, he thought nothing of it
Mhm.
because your parents back then, I'm Gen X. So it's like, you know,
Yeah.
whatever. They said what they wanted to. They treated us the way they wanted to. And that was that.
Mhm.
But that became, oh my God, I'm fat. You know,
Mhm.
and then you're in college and you go out ladies' night and boys don't ask you out, you know?
Mm.
And this is before cell phones. So it's not like you could text somebody. It was like you either met in person
Mhm.
or you didn't meet anybody,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
So I would always come home by myself and they would always hook up with a guy or, you know, whatever they were doing.
Mhm.
And I was like, God, I really am fat, you know? And then when the fen came in, I wasn't fat. And all of a
Mhm.
sudden I had, you know, boys out the yin yang.
Mhm.
Everyone wanted to go out with me. And I'm like, this is amazing. This is great. But I'm still eating
Mhm.
the crazy amount of food, the pizzas and the, you know, I'm just burning it off with all these drugs.
Yep.
And then it became, I want to be healthy. So
Mhm.
now it's, I want to be healthy. Now it's not, you know, weight management. Now it's like, I want to live,
Mhm.
you know? And once I started that, then it became about, you know, food became not so much the escape, it became the way to live. So
Mm.
like what I don't like to cook, but if I cook, I will make chicken, green beans, and sweet potato because that's what you should eat.
Hmm.
No garbage, you know, and that's what I eat. And
Huh.
people are like, you eat like that? I'm like, yeah. Well, that's no fun. I'm like, well, food is not fun. Food is for life. You know, it's not to be fun.
Yeah.
So that's sort I had to change my whole mentality. And I don't generally work with people with eating disorders because that's such a hard shift for
Mhm.
them to get out of, you know,
Mhm.
food is for stuffing or food is for fun. And I'm like, yeah, every event you go to, everything revolves around food,
Yeah.
you know,
Mhm.
and cake. So there's a birthday, there's cake. There's wedding, there's a cake. You
Mhm.
know, there's divorce. If you're a girl, there's cake.
Mm.
Your boyfriend broke up with you. What do? Ice cream, cake. You know, it's always that. And for
Mhm.
men, it's usually like mashed potatoes, macaroni and cheese, and chips. So it's like, why don't we do something? Let's go to the gym or
Mhm.
let's go, you know, on a trip. Let's do something fun where food is not the focus. So I had to shift my entire lifestyle,
Mm.
which was hard.
Yeah, and that you hit a really good point on that too, because uh, a lot of people, whenever they think about addiction or recovery from the addictions, they're like, "Oh, well, you just don't go around the thing, and you're fine." It's like, okay, well, like you said, food is everywhere, and for me and a lot of other people, alcohol, it's everywhere. It's such a personal journey reestablishing what you think something is, right? Because, like you said, I've never heard food be it's not supposed to be fun, it's for life. And I'm kind of sitting here thinking like, the more you that makes a lot of sense. Like we shouldn't be having fun with our food a lot because it's to sustain us, it's to keep us going, right? It's there's not a whole lot there for it besides that, right?
Well, think of it this way too. And you mentioned alcohol. And so alcohol and food.
Mhm.
So for me, my trigger is sugar.
Yeah.
And sugar's in everything, right?
Mhm.
So sugar and alcohol are everywhere. You stop at the gas station to put gas in the car, you go in, they don't have like chicken, sweet potatoes, and green beans. They have ho-hos and honey buns and muffins and a Snickers bar. It's all garbage
Yeah.
and alcohol, right?
Yep.
And what those two things in terms of addiction, no matter where you go, if you're out with friends, what happens? It happens exactly the same way. Oh, come on, Keegan, you can have one shot of
Oh,
vodka. What's the big deal?
yeah, no.
Right?
Mm-mm.
Or come on, Callie, you can have a piece of pie. Just come on, one piece of pie is not going to make you fat. Seriously. They don't get it.
Mm-mm. No.
So when you say, I'm not doing sugar, then it's like, well, you're not part of us,
Yep.
you know, or you're not doing shots. Oh, you're not going to do shots? You're no fun. Oh, we're not going to invite you out anymore. And then you stop getting invited to stuff
Mhm.
because you don't party anymore.
Yep. Oh, so I just recently had a conversation with Emma Lyons, and we talked all about shame. And I just put that together that whenever you get into recovery, people shame you for not participating in your vice. And holy shit, that's fucked up. Wow. And so that's why a lot of people don't want to even get into recovery or start to get healthy and better because they may lose people that might deem essential in their life. Maybe?
Lost my whole friend group. I
Mm,
lost all my girlfriends in college because I didn't want to go out.
mhm,
And I'm like, I I can't, you guys are drinking. Like, I can't drink because it wasn't just, I mean, we're girls. So it wasn't like, let's go have a martini. You're in college. You're drinking frozen garbage and, apple pie shots and
Mm-hmm.
cement mixers. And let's see how fucked up we can get. Like, that's the whole purpose of college drinking. So I
Mm-hmm.
was like, well, I don't want to do that. Well, what are you going to do on a Thursday night? Nothing. Yeah. So then it became, I have to have a whole new lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
So I got into the gym. I'm like, if I get into the gym, those are healthy people.
Mm-hmm.
And there's two types of people in the gym: the people that work out to party and the people that work out to sustain life. And I quickly learned I got to be in that second category,
Mm-hmm.
So it's Thursday night at 8 o'clock. What are we doing? We're going to the gym.
Mm-hmm.
We're not going out to the bar. We're going to go to the gym. We're going to lift, put your music on. And I got into that crowd. So I've been in that gym crowd since I was 23 now.
Wow. Oh, are you still in that same kind of crowd?
Yep.
Nice.
Yep. So that's my thing. Like, I'll go to the gym and I have all the wrist straps and all the cute little outfits. And I joke. So I have like a Crunch membership and a 24-hour membership. And then I joined, and they're like, $20 a month. They're the hardcore people.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have this bougie gym that I joined. And it's like, and I'm joking because it's like all these girls in their little Lululemon walking around and they're texty. And they sit on the bike 2 miles an hour and they're looking around to see who's looking at them. And I'm in there in booty shorts and a tank top with my wrist straps all over and my headset on, like, don't talk to me. I'm here to work out. And everybody's staring at me and I'm like, I don't think I fit into this group of people here. But I'm like, this social experiment is fun.
Oh man. Ooh, that's a good way to look at life in recovery, really, is a social experiment, because we're having to relearn ourselves. We're having to essentially remake ourselves day to day. And it sounds like you found an anchor point for something to, like you said, kind of re-establish your identity with yourself. And I think that that's where a lot of people really don't go anywhere for maybe recovery or something, because for me, my identity was in my pain. My identity was in my trauma, and I had no idea about it. I'm still sitting here going like, oh, like if I change this, that means this part of me changes too. But I kind of like this part of me. And so, did you have anything like that left behind whenever you went to do the gym stuff instead of just the friends?
I had a lot of anger. I was like, if my sister and I grew up 6 years apart. I didn't want to get married. I didn't want a normal 9 to 5. I was like, fuck it. I'm going to go as high as I can go. I'm going to show these people. I used it as a springboard, which is good. But I also had anger and resentment around it. Like, I built this empire. So I have Sober on Demand. I have the Addictions Academy. We're the largest provider in the world of addiction and mental health studies. It's an empire.
Yeah.
I've written 6 books. I've been on CNN. I've been in Forbes and People. I've been on front cover magazine. I've been everywhere. And I'm like, and I am just pissed off. And I'm like, wait a minute. This is like I got to let it go. So I had to learn how to, it's great fuel to get where you want to go, but you got to let that resentment go because you're still tied to your trauma. And then when I let that go and I was like, I'm just going to, ride the wave and let things happen. That's when shit got real. And it was like stuff just started organically happening. I'd have to push anything. I'd have to fight. It was like clients would come, money would come, travel would come, opportunities would come. And it was just coming. When I stopped being mad at everybody and being like, you know what? I'm going to send you love and light. As soon as I started doing that, and gratitude, because you calling me fat got me here. This is where I am.
Yeah.
And I'm supposed to be here. I'm supposed to be helping people. This wasn't the career I wanted, but it's the career I have. And I do a lot of good. Why am I so mad? Like, that's when it was like, okay, I'm gonna let go. And I just let it go. And then it was like surfing. It's like, it's so cool. So
do you think you can pinpoint the moment that happened in your psyche? Like the moment where you went like, you've heard it many, many times before, and then it just clicked that one time. Can you pinpoint that?
So I have a friend. I'm gonna give her props on this, and I'll let her listen to it. I have a friend named Chelsea.
Okay.
And she's always she's the epitome of energy. She's awesome. And she said something to me, and she was just like, it just clicked. This was years ago. And she just said something to me about like, you're spending all this energy being mad over here. So what if you just took a quarter of that energy and put it over here? And I was like, why? She goes, why not? And I'm like, the point. So I took just a quarter of that energy and put it over here, and I produced something. And she goes, now look at that. Now, what if you took half of this anger and put it over here? And I'm like, huh. So I did that. And I'm like, fuck it. Let's put all the anger over here and see what happens. And that's when I was like, it's a shift. It's like everything in law of attraction. I'm huge. I built everything on law of attraction and frequency.
Mm-hmm.
We don't attract what we want. We attract the emotion that we are.
Ooh.
So yeah, I started playing with the energy. If I'm mad, the phone doesn't ring.
Mm.
If I'm sad, people come into my world that are sad. They match my frequency.
Mm.
If I'm angry, I get angry. And I started thinking about that. And I'm like, you know what? Think about it. You wake up late. You're irritated. You're frustrated. What happens? You can't find your car keys. You can't find your shoes. You know, if you have a backpack, it gets caught on the door every time, right? Why is this fucking backpack caught on the fucking door? I'm already fucking late.
Uh-huh.
You're trying to get out the door. Then you get in traffic and you're sitting there going, of course I'm in traffic. Look at the fucking traffic. I'm going to be late. Now I can't have Starbucks. And you're complaining the whole way there. You get there and what happens? It's a shit show. This is wrong. That is wrong. And you're walking. See, I knew this is a shit show, but if you shifted your mind at the house and went, wait a minute, I'm still going to have a good day today. This is going to be an amazing day. Even though I'm late, I'm going to get there on time. I'm visualizing no traffic, quick Starbucks stop. It's going to be amazing. Even though it may not look like that, you can actually create that.
Yeah.
Just using your mind. So when I learned that trick, I was like, why am I harboring resentment? All I'm going to do is create more anger. I want to create positivity. I want to blow up this company. I want to do all this stuff. I want to travel the world. And I'm like, just create it. And when I did that, it just started to happen. So that's how it went.
Okay, that is fucking amazing. I love that. But I gotta ask, I really gotta ask, because anger is usually a secondary emotion. So what were you afraid of?
So anger is repressed hurt. So once I got to so it was like the little child, little 8-year-old being told she's fat, she's stupid, she's ugly, she's never going to get a husband. She's not, that's what it was. And I was like, why? That's like not now, you know? So when you have trauma, the first thing is to say, is it happening right now? No. If it's not happening now, why are you sitting in it? And I ask my clients that all the time when they say, but this happened then, and this happened then, and my parents got divorced, and boo-hoo. Okay, is it happening now?
Yeah.
No, right?
Yeah.
So what do you want? What do you see as your future? And they come up with all this stuff. Okay, if you want this stuff, all of this little girl energy and not feeling loved has to be released. You can't play in that dirty energy and create this other stuff. So I teach them how to energetically let that go. We do breath work, we do exercise, we do biohacking. When you start optimizing your chemical body and using your breath work and feeling good, you start going, I don't want to feel like that. I don't want to be that tiny little 8-year-old that feels like crap. I want to feel here. Well, this is the pathway to get there. And I do that in my executive reset. I teach my executives how to power up that way because they're all holding on to something. And that something is keeping them from getting to the next level.
So anger, the stuff that we're holding on to, and we're not sure why, but it's because it got us to this point in the first place, right?
Well, it got you here. It got you so far. But the problem is, where do you want to go from here? So a lot of my executives get stuck. They get in burnout. They start drinking. They start doing drugs. They can't get to the next level. And then I say to them, it's great you got here, but what's keeping you from getting to the next level? What's that stuck point? And it's different for everybody. And they'll say, well, it's drugs or alcohol. Drugs or alcohol is never your problem. It's your solution to your problem.
Yeah.
So tell me what your problem is. And then I kind of get to the root cause of, well, this thing happened, whatever it is. And some of them are crazy. I mean, you have deep traumas, like they were raped or they were kidnapped. That's big stuff. So I'll bring in an EMDR therapist for that to do the rapid eye movement. But if it's other stuff like a divorce or your dad called you a name, those are things we can fix in your brain because it's a neuro pathway. So when I explain it to people, it's like this. When you get up in the morning and you go and brush your teeth, do you think about brushing your teeth, or do you half stumble into the bathroom, half awake, put the toothpaste on the toothbrush, brush your teeth, put the cap back on, and you don't think about it. You just do it, right? Because your brain over the past so many years has told you this is what we do. Like you don't think when you get out of bed, okay, I have to swing over my left leg, then my right leg, then feet on the ground, then I have to find my flip-flop, then I have to find, you're not thinking of these things. It just happens because your brain created a neuro pathway to do it. Well, if it creates a neuro pathway, it can uncreate a neural pathway.
Mm-hmm.
So it takes 32 days, according to Harvard, to do that. So we create a new pathway. So if you get up in the morning and your instinct is to text your dealer right away, you're going to do something different.
Yeah.
You're going to get up, brush your teeth, take a shower, then text your dealer. And people go, what? Because I just took some space between the wake up and the dealer. Now your brain just went, what just happened?
Yeah.
Now we do it again and again. And then we increase that text time. And people start to say, well, wait a minute. Now I'm waking up, brushing my teeth, making coffee, eating my Fruit Loops or whatever garbages they eat in the morning. Then I'm texting my dealer. Now they've given me a 30-minute window. Well, if you can do 30 minutes, why can't you do an hour? Why can't you do 2? And when I start to ask those questions, they're like, I can, right? You don't need the drug you think you need.
No.
It's just become a routine. Then we start to disrupt the routine. Then we get to the why are you doing it? Now they're going, I don't know. Well, tell me what happened. So when I start to get into that, not only do we change the neural pathway, we figure out the why, we solve for the why. Then they're going, I don't need this crap. I don't want to feel like crap all day long. I'm done. And then they come to me and they say, I'm done. I'm like, good. Now what? And they come to me with the blueprint. I'm going to work out. I'm going to eat. I'm going to go here. I'm going to do this. And I'm like, let's go. And then game on.
Okay. So it sounds like you're kind of helping to really help them, like you said, get stuff out of their way so they can move forward on their own path. And this
Exactly.
it kind of reminds me of a book that my therapist had me read whenever I was in her care. I don't remember the name of the book. Talk about two therapists trying to help each other, kind of thing, and really they come to the conclusion that the patient is the person who ultimately fixes their own problems. It's just the therapist is the person kind of going like, what about this? What about that? And I love how you're tying it right back to the 30 minutes of your sun salutations, because I guess that's kind of where all of it started, right? For you, that was the moment. And so you kind of just tied it back to what worked for you, and it should maybe help other people too, right?
Yeah, I get clients that don't like meetings. I get clients that have been in 13, 14, 15, 20 rehabs. They say to me, I'm exhausted. What else can I possibly do? And I'm like, you're in the right spot.
Yeah.
Because we're going to start with blood work because I want to know why you're using, and I've uncovered so many interesting things just by doing that with people. Like I have a woman that does Xanax and we found that her thyroid wasn't working. I'm like, you're doing Xanax because you have anxiety because you don't have enough thyroid juice, right? So the doctor that I work with was able to give her a hormone test and put her on the correct thyroid stuff. And she called me 30 days later. She's like, Callie, I haven't touched a pill except for the thyroid medication. She's like, I feel amazing. I don't need it. I'm like, of course, we solved the underlying cause. So it can be anything. We just have to uncover it.
That's awesome. And real quick, for everyone out there that is listening, where can people find you? Because you've got a few websites, so I'm going to try to pop them up as you say them, if I can pull them up.
So soberondemand.com is for people who may need a mobile detox, the 5-day executive reset, sober companions, recovery coaches, or individual therapy. Then we have the Addictions Academy.
Okay.
That's for people that want to learn how to become a recovery coach or an addictions counselor, a mental health coach. And we are international. So you can become an international master addictions coach. We have sex addiction in there. We have a narcissist coach that I just got asked to put together. So you can see us there. If you want to book me for speaking, I've done a ton of keynotes. That's CallieEstes.com. You can see everything in there. Those are the big ones.
Okay.
I mean, we have Unpause Your Life, which is life coaching, if you're looking for that and law of attraction stuff. But that's the main hub.
Gotcha. Thank you for that. And I mean, how long have you been doing all of these? And has it all been all at the same time? Was it like one and then you're like, I can take it a step further. I can take it a step further. Or did you see like a need and someone was like, oh, hey, I need your help here. And you're like, I guess I'll try that too. Why not?
So 2012, I started doing the in-home stuff before anyone was doing it because we got a request. And I'm like, well, why not? Why not do what people want? So we did. And then as I started doing it and offering the companions and the detox, people said, well, how are you doing this? How do I become a companion? And I Googled and I went, there's no training for this. Why is there no training for this?
Mm.
So I said, let's create a training. And it started with 2 trainings, recovery coach and intervention. And then I went, what else do we need? And next thing you know, we have 45 courses. And we've trained 60,000 people. We're in 40 countries. We're in 5 languages. We've trained 400 treatment centers like that. So it just became, people wanted it. They asked for it. We created it and boom, here we are.
Man. So it sounds kind of like the law of attraction kind of thing created itself in a sense.
Yeah. Yeah. And I believe, if you're doing the right thing and you're helping people, the universe will give you whatever you want, and it's never about money because everyone is like, oh, well, it's about money. No, it's about freedom.
Mm.
Money is just the energy. It's just energy to get you to freedom. People say, well, Tuesday at 2:00, I don't want to be at work. I want to be on the beach somewhere. And I always say, well, why can't you? Oh, I have a job. And you never thought outside that you didn't have to have a job? And they're like, I never thought about that. So I get them thinking, what would it take for you to be Tuesday at 2:00 on the beach?
Mhm.
And then they go, well, I have a number I have to make. So put that in your, in your vision board, and let's put that in your law of attraction. And then let's put that out there to the universe and let's bring it in.
Mm.
It's law of attraction is 3 steps. So if your listeners learn nothing else, here's how it goes. It's intention. I want this thing, whatever it is. It has to be clear. You can't say, I want more money.
Mhm.
The universe is going to give you 10 cents. You have to say, I want $1 million or whatever your number is. Then it's gratitude. And you have to imagine your heart sending out gratitude and love for what you have.
Mhm.
I'm so thankful for the $1,000 in my bank account, even if you're not. I'm so thankful for it. And you have to become genuine about it. And then it's action. What am I going to do to make that $1,000 $1 million?
Mm.
You do one thing, send out a resume, put something on Facebook, whatever it is. And then the universe goes, I hear you. I heard your intention. I feel your gratitude. I saw your action. Boom, here's the thing you want. And then people go, I don't know how that happened. I'm so lucky. And I'm like, you're not lucky. You just created that. That's how you did it.
Huh. That is way too cool. So, in that sense, do you think that we're also unintentionally attracting our own addictions?
That's an interesting thing. So I think we're using addictions as a crutch because we're either scared of leveling up to something,
Mhm.
or it's like people who have kids, for example, will say, well, I have to have this job. I have to feed my family.
Mhm. Yeah.
And I always say, well, why can't you get a better job?
Mhm.
And they go, I never thought of that. So that's law of attraction.
Mhm.
So instead of going, I could apply and get a better job, they go, well, I'm just going to party on the weekend because what else am I going to do?
Mm.
That's my downtime, or that's my reward for working all week. And I say, well, if you're going to reward yourself, why is it with the bad behavior?
Oh. Oh.
Yeah. So I get them to think, it's like, well, I have to have that. Well, why do you have to have that?
Huh.
Because that's like me saying I have to have sugar. I don't need to have a piece of cake to exist.
Huh.
There's no nutritional value in cake. There's no nutritional value in liquor.
Yeah.
So tell me why you need liquor to go to the bar, like to go out with your friends. You can't just go to the bar and have an iced tea. I can. Why can't you?
Mhm.
Well, you're not an addict. Yes, I am. But I don't need it.
Uh-huh.
I can go out and have a Diet Coke, or I can have what is this? Black raspberry and lemon tonic. Why not? I don't have to have a hard cider. Why? What?
Mhm.
So I start getting in their head and they're like, yeah, you're right. Now there's physical drugs, like opiates are physical.
Yeah.
So coming off of that is really bad.
Mhm.
But once you're off it, why would you go back to it?
Yeah.
So I start getting them to think outside the box.
Okay. So outside of the box thinking is really where the magic happens, right? And I guess it does kind of tie back into everything that we've talked about before, because if we're living in a box that other people have told us, hey, this is our perception of you, you have to be in this box, and you're like, okay, and then 20 years go by and you're like, okay, when can I come out? And it's just been open this whole time. I could have walked out, but nope. I'm trying to be something or someone that I'm maybe not, and I think that's where.
That's where addiction starts too. So
Mhm.
when I was growing up, when I was 14, my mom said, what are you going to do with your life? And I said, well, I have, 4 goals. And she goes, well, tell me what they are. And I said, I want to make $1 million. And we were poor. I mean, we were dirt poor. And she's like, that's not going to happen. I said, I want to buy a new car because we always drove all old jalopies that broke.
Mhm.
And she's like, a new car? Like, I want to walk into the showroom floor and put my money down and buy a brand new car. And she's like, okay. and I want to get a house by the beach. And she's like, they're too expensive. We're nowhere near the beach. You're never going to do that. And I want to find a real man. And they thought it was a joke. And she said, why don't you just, marry the local high school boy and get a double wide and, work at the mall. And I remember I looked at her, I was 14, and I went, what the fuck? I was like, that's your goal for me? And she's like, yeah, that's good. And you can make babies and live here. So at 19, I split and I ended up homeless. And I was like, peace out, people. I'm going to go. And I went and I was homeless. And I trudged through and I put myself through bachelor's program. I had no money. I didn't even have books my first semester. And then I put myself through master's, and I actually got my master's for free. I won an award to get it.
Wow.
So I did that. And then I started a fitness company, and I made $4 million my third year. I had the car. I had everything. I had the beach house. I had all of it. Lost all of it in 08, ended up homeless again. And I'm like, okay, we're going to do it again. And I just jumped back in, and I started this company. So it's like, I met my husband in between. So it was like, this is the pattern. So looking back, it's like all of those things had to happen for me to be who I am and be where I am. But I can teach people through that process now because it sounds daunting,
Yeah, it sounds incredibly daunting, because how do you essentially make something like that and then lose everything and then come back from that in the first place to begin with? Because, I mean, you said it, that people are afraid of leveling up. Why is that? Why is it that we're afraid to better ourselves? Why is that so hard for some people to let go of that past version of themselves, right?
Because they're afraid of losing things. Like people hoard objects. I lost everything in a fire. I had nothing. I literally had the car I was in, which was in the repossession status, my djembe, my crappy laptop, my little flip phone back then, my dog, and the clothes on my back. And I was like, oh, this is going to be fun.
Ugh.
So I had to start over. I had no money. And I was like, okay, we've done it before. We've been here before. We can do it again. And then you do it again and you're like, yeah, you can do it. People don't realize everything you need is vibrational energy. Everything you need, you can access. You're just believing you can't. I'm not lucky enough. I'm not smart enough. I don't have enough money. Everything I built, I had zero help. Every company was $300 in my bank account and rent due and no way to pay it. I didn't have resources. I didn't know people. My dad didn't set me up with somebody. I had nothing. And I'm like, I'm going to create from nothing. And I did. So when I get a client, I tell them, doesn't matter where you are in your financial journey, your love life or whatever, when you're ready for something, you have to know you're ready for it. You have to intention, want it, gratitude, thank the universe that you already have it, and then boom, do an action step. That's it. That's how you create it. And when you do that, that person that you want to, manifest in your life shows up, or the job shows up, or that money shows up. And it's like, people are blown away when I teach them the process. And they're like, this isn't going to work. And if you believe it's not going to work, it's not going to work. As soon as you go, this is going to work, it works. And I've done it. I've done it with people in the room, and they're like, holy, how'd you do that? Like,
because it works. And it kind of sounds like you unintentionally maybe started this law of attraction journey whenever you left home so long ago, right? Like, did you have any idea of what you were doing? Or was it just something that was like spite, out of spite?
I didn't believe I could do it in the beginning. I had heard about it, and it was like, I can't do that. And then I always said no. And then I started to try it, and I'm like, I would do it with little things like parking space. I'm going to get a front row parking. I'm going to get a front row parking space. And then I'd get one, and I'd be like, did I do that? Was that me? And then I would do it again. And I'm like, I can do this. I can get a parking spot. And a friend of mine at the time was like, well, if you can get a parking spot, do it with a job. I said, okay. So I started focusing on this job I wanted. And then I went to the interview. And during the interview, I kept like sending a signal that she was going to hire me. And at the end of the interview, she stopped and she goes, I don't know why, and I've never done this, but I'm going to make you a formal offer right now. And I was like, I can do this. This is amazing. So I started playing with the energy. I started playing with stuff, and it works with all kinds of things. And as I was doing that, I grew my company, and then I teach people how to do this. And my husband at the time was a rock and roll drummer, and he wanted to go on tour. And he's like, I'm so frustrated. And I'm like, watch this. And I said, write down, where you want to go. And he wrote, United States, how much you want to make, how long you want to go. And we put the paper all over the house. I said, just focus on it. And I didn't do anything else. And I said, focus on it, intention. And then I said, I want you to pretend you're on tour. We did a whole meditation. And he's like, I'm on tour, I'm drumming, I'm having a good time. And every day you're going to do this, right? And then all I did was I created this press kit online. And I was sitting there on LinkedIn one day and I got a thing came through. They were hiring. This group was hiring and I just sent his press kit out. That's all I did. And he called me that afternoon. He's like, I got a phone call from a lady in Los Angeles. And I said, yeah. He goes, I'm flying out Friday for an audition with Eric Sardinas and Big Motor. And I'm like, the blues band. And he's like, you know them? And I'm like, a little. So he's like, okay. He goes, what do I do? And I'm like, go. Right?
Yeah.
Now, we didn't have money for a ticket. So I'm pulling all the points from credit cards together and I got him a ticket and he went. He calls me because I knew he could do it. He'd get it. He's like, I'm going to land this. He calls me from the green room. He's like, Fuel's drummer's here. Hinder's drummer's here. He goes, and I'm just a nobody. I'm like, you got this. You got it. So he called me 2 days later and he's like, they want me to start in a week. He got the gig.
Yeah.
And I said, how much is it? It was exactly the amount on paper and the exact time. And he's like, I don't know what this voodoo magic is. He goes, but here I am. True story. That's in my book, I Married a Junkie. That's my true story.
Man, that is too cool. Oh, and you don't have just one book, right? You said you have 6? Was that correct?
I have 6. Yeah.
Wow.
I did 2. My husband and I did an I Married a Junkie book in 2018. And then when he passed away in 2023, I did I Married a Junkie, the final chapter, because we were writing the second one. So that's that. And then I have a Law of Attraction book called The 7 Keys to Tap into the Wealth Inside You.
Okay.
I have a workbook for recovery coaching, a workbook for life coaching. And then my book, Airport Antics, just came out a month ago. And that's like all the funny stuff that happens in an airport because I travel so much. All the things you see and the people you see in an airport.
Oh man. And using the law of attraction, I bet you could definitely find some really hilarious situations in an airport.
I always run into them.
Yep. But not necessarily intentionally, and that's the fun part. But
Yeah.
what would you say you've gained for yourself out of everything?
Validation. Because growing up, we didn't have good job. We're proud. It was never any of that. It was like, okay, you got an A. Okay. No one cared. It was like, yeah, no one cared. And there's things we wanted to do. And we were always told there's no money for that. Like I wanted to go see Les Mis. There's no money for that. I want to go to Europe. We can't do that. We could do nothing, So now it's like I travel. I just did an 11-day trip in Europe and I did 7 cities, 5 countries, just had a blast. And everyone's like, oh my God, you spent a lot of money. And I'm like, actually, I didn't spend that much money. I did it like a local, number one. But number two, I could do that now. Like I wanted to do that when I was 14. I'm sitting in Paris and I'm like, I wanted to be here since I was 14. And my friend that's with me is like, you need a beret. And I went, oh, we're going to buy a beret. So I got the stupid red beret on and the little thing. And he's like, you look like you're from Paris. So we did a photo shoot all around the Eiffel Tower with me and my book. And it was a blast. And everyone is like, come on, you look like the country. Like you just moved there. And I'm like, why not? So those are things that I get to do that I couldn't do when I was a child. So I kind of put myself in the position for that.
Yeah, those are awesome. And I mean, you're just blowing my mind with all of this because it's like, if we can really do this for ourselves in that regard, it's blowing me away because I know that recovery and stuff like that is along the same lines because we tell ourselves we don't believe we can get sober. We don't believe that we can live without a substance. We don't believe that we can do this without holding on to resentments and traumas because they're what keep us safe and somehow oddly comfortable whenever really it's not.
It's what's familiar. The brain likes familiar. If it knows something, it goes, that's what we're going to do. So it's just as simple as giving it a new task. That's all it is. If you can do a new task for 32 days, that's why treatment, by the way, is 28 days.
Oh.
It used to be 28 days that you needed a new neural pathway. Now it's 32. But if you can do something different for 32 days, you can break whatever bad habit you have. But your brain is going to tell you, we have to do this thing because we did it yesterday. You don't have to do it. You don't have to drink.
Yeah.
You drink because it's what you've always done. When you do something new, it's scary. How am I going to go to the networking event and not do a line of cocaine? Oh my God. What if I sit in the corner? And I always go, so what? Sit in the damn corner. You went to the event, check box, go. And they're like, well, but I'm not I'm not myself. You are yourself. When you're altered, that's not who you are. That's a different, like, this is me with 1 cup of coffee. Imagine me on speed, by the way. I mean, I was off the chart. So it's like, this is who I am without the drugs, you know? And people are like, well, what if I don't like myself? I'm like, you haven't met yourself. You haven't even given yourself a chance because you're always under the influence of something else or someone else. If you're picking bad relationships and bad jobs and all of that, that's another addiction, you know?
Yeah. Oh man, I've never really thought about that. I mean, I've thought about it in a sense, but the way that you just laid it out made me think back to whenever I was still in my addiction. I was at an electric company. So my journeyman, he went into rehab at one point, and whenever he got out for his alcohol addiction, he was like a freaking zombie. He was like not even the same person I thought he was, and I was kind of like, this is weird. Like, did he get a lobotomy, not something else? And so it just really does kind of highlight the whole like people taking a shot of liquid courage, because to loosen up, and that that's not us, but it makes us feel like that's us, because our inhibitions are gone. Right now, all of a sudden, I'm not afraid of what may happen if I do the thing. Is that really that simple? I'm just not afraid anymore.
It is. And when I tell people, I'm like, if you haven't tried this, you've already failed. So people say, well, why should I bother? I'm never going to get sober. I'm like, well, you've already failed. You haven't even tried. Give it a shot, give it a shot. And then if you fail, you fail.
Yeah.
I didn't get sober the first time. It took me a year. And I was laying on the floor at one point, like a 5-year-old, having a temper tantrum. And my friend that took me to yoga class stepped over me and she said, whenever you're done, you let me know. I'll never forget that. And I was like, you're not even listening to me. And she goes, I'm listening to you blabber about nothing. When you're done, you let me know. And I was like, I hate you. And she goes, that's okay, because I love you. I have enough love for both of us. And I'm like, I really hate you. And I got sober and I thanked her for that, and I was like, that's what I needed. I need to put your big girl panties on and knock it off. Like, come on, So, and some people need a little bit more warm and fuzzy. My approach is not warm and fuzzy. I do have staff that are warm and fuzzy, but I'm more like, you want change. You're telling me you want change, but then you're whining that you have to have this thing that's not going to give you change. Let's just do it. Let's walk into the fire, handle the issue, and then come out on the other side.
Okay. Wow. Whenever you're dealing with people, what is one of the things that usually holds them back from even starting in the first place? Because
fear of failure.
Fear of failure?
What if I start this and I can't do it? And I'm like, you've already failed.
Yeah.
You've already not done it. You're already failing now. Let's at least try. If you've tried and failed, that's one thing. Like I tell people in business, I've had 6 businesses. Not all 6 were super successful, So you try again. And not every piece of a company I've tried to add has been successful. We've added classes that flopped. And I'm like, okay, you live and learn. You spent, money on a writer, money on advertising, money on a teacher, and no one wants the class. Okay, set it aside. Find the one they do want.
Yeah.
And people, they try once and they're like, oh, this was just too hard. I can't do it. And I'm like, you got to keep trying. Eventually, your brain and your body will go, this is the new way of doing things. And it'll click for you.
Gotcha. So sometimes it is just all about that persistence, but also just trying to find out what is that person's flavor of recovery, I guess.
Yeah. Everybody's different. And I tell everybody, every pathway to recovery or sobriety is okay. Moderation management. You want to go from 6 beers to 4. That's okay.
Yep.
You want to do Suboxone. That's okay. You want to go totally sober and go to a meeting. That's okay. You want to go to Celebrate Recovery, or you want to go to Smart Recovery. That's okay.
Yeah.
Whatever you're doing, as long as it's better than it was the day before, is okay. That's the start. And then from there, we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Ooh, I love that, because I think that that's what I needed to hear all those years ago, was just fucking start. Just give yourself a little bit of a chance. You don't know what you're going to surprise yourself with. And the more I'm in recovery, and sometimes I sit there and I think I accidentally dig up old wounds or something again, but it's kind of like I'm trying to do things without knowing how to do them. So I'm going to mess it up a little bit here and there, but I've definitely learned how to not hold it over my own head like I used to. Whenever we're sitting there and we're trying to just get by in life, a lot of the times we're, like you said, we're going through the familiar motions. We're doing the things that are normal. And sometimes we have to give ourselves that space to try something different. So is that why you work on breathing techniques a lot for people? Is it just because it gives that space?
Breathing changes the chemistry of the body.
Hmm.
So, like, breathing and meditation really change the brain. And if you want to get into like vibrational energy and law of attraction, it's all meditation and it's all alpha state and it's all breathing. So, people who have like anxiety, I teach them a breathing technique and they're like, I have no anxiety.
Huh.
What do I need Xanax for? You don't. I mean, and they're like, well, why do we have it? Well, we have it because it's the broken healthcare system, right?
Yep.
I mean, so when people say to me, I want, I want to go from point A to point B, I throw everything I have at them. We
Mhm.
do the breathing, we do the NLP, we do the CBT, the performance coaching, memory reconstruction therapy, some EMDR, we do all of it. Some of that sticks.
Mhm.
Sometimes people go, I don't want to do that. I don't like that. Whatever
Mm.
that is. Okay. But it's there if you want to try it,
Okay.
and once I can get them to see something different, they'll like something in that, you know, palette somewhere. And they'll go, I like this thing. Okay, good. Let's do that thing.
Ooh. Oh, so it sounds like uh you really do just kind of blast them with everything that's available and whatever they like. It's like, okay, cool. That is your flavor of recovery. Let's walk down that, see what else it can do for you. That is way too cool.
Exactly.
Because
Yep.
yeah, that's the way that I've been like recovery. Why isn't it more like that? And I just want people to realize that because so many people are like, oh, if you go into AA and you stop going to AA, you're going to relapse and you're going to die. And it's like NA will say that and all these other places. And I'm kind of sitting here going like, okay, I haven't been in a little while and I'm still alive and good. So there's that's not true. But the thing is, I think that there's a whole lot of different things that come into that. People have their identity and their addiction, and then they find a new identity with a group, and then there's community and not isolation. So, like you said, there's I think something for everyone in recovery, but I think people touting that recovery has to be this one way is kind of screwing it up for everyone that's still in the shit, you know.
It is. And then a lot of times you go to the meetings and everybody's complaining.
Hmm.
Or they're doing the cigarettes and the sugar and the monster energy, and you're trying to be healthy and you're like, wait a minute. So I got into a whole debate on the Dr. Drew show about that when he was talking about NA and AA. And he's like, well, why don't you go to meetings? And I'm like, well, because I don't see them as sobriety. And he goes, what do you mean? And I'm like, sugar is the biggest drug on the planet, period. End
Hmm.
stop, full stop, right there. And when you walk in, they have honey buns and cakes for sobriety birthday. And I'm like, why? And everybody gains weight. And they're like, you should gain weight. It means you're healthy. No, it does not. It means you traded addictions from alcohol to sugar, my friend. And now you don't want to talk about it.
Hmm.
So I pushed the system with that. And then you have the monsters and the C4, which, by the way, I'm a C4 junkie. I will admit
Me
it. I'm an
too.
addict. I do my caffeine is my thing. No one's going to take that away from me. They can pry
Hmm.
it out of my dead hands. I'm okay with that. I quit smoking, but it's like it's trading addictions for another, you
Hmm.
know? So I don't like that piece of it. Do I like the fellowship? Absolutely. Do I
Hmm.
think it's great when I'm in a city and I'm like, I really want to go have dinner and don't want to go alone? I can go to a meeting and go, hey, I'm in such and such city. I'm here for the night. Does anybody want to grab a coffee or dinner? And somebody will go, hey, I'm in.
Hmm.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you're not, eating alone and with some weird person hitting on you.
Yeah, and I mean I'm so glad to hear someone such an esteemed person be able to say that kind of stuff too because like I know that I traded part of my alcohol addiction for energy drink addiction. I don't need to like necessarily dive into that one. I think it helps a little bit with ADHD and it just I kind of like the little bit of a boost and or sleepiness that it'll give me. Sometimes it's a toss up, you know.
That's
So
true. with with ADHD, I had a C4 the other night. I'm like, I'm going to bed. And my friend was like, did you just drink a C4? I'm like, yeah. 300 milligrams of caffeine? Yeah.
since I'm
You're going
going
to bed? Yeah. Like, how? I'm like, I have ADHD. Sometimes it makes me go up, sometimes it makes me go down.
uh
And they're like, I don't know, Callie. I don't know.
yeah.
And remember, this is with one cup of coffee. This is normal.
uh
So
so, so on the next episode, we need to have you on a C4 all the way through because I got some in my mini fridge right now, and I was like, I was going to pop one for this interview, and I was like, nah, I don't want to have to go use the restroom in the middle of it or whatever, because
I
those things
looked
will,
for one and I don't have any. I have to go to the gym and get one because I normally do an interview with the C4 and everyone's like, that's like my signature thing. And they're like, every podcast you're on, there's a C4 sitting next to you, like
oh
clockwork. I'm
man.
like, I know.
Man, addictions are just weird, but one of the things that I can say for sure though is that I'm just super glad that we have someone like you leading the way for what I think recovery should really be like, or at least be modeled more after, because there's no one way to it. There's a whole bunch of different fucking ways for one person. So we can sit there and let other people know that it's okay to not try something the same way that someone else is doing it if it doesn't vibe for you for whatever reason. There's no shame
And
in
it's
that.
okay to try and fail. You
Hmm.
know, if you go to a meeting and you go, I didn't like this, that's okay. Try something else.
Hmm.
Don't go, okay, well, I'm never going to get sober. Go to the gym. But some people go to church. I mean,
Hmm.
I'm not a church person, but there are people that are church people. Go. If that's
Hmm.
where you feel comfortable and serene, some people go hiking, they go kayaking. Find that thing for you that makes you feel whole. Doesn't
Hmm.
matter what it is.
Yeah. And I think we just really do kind of limit ourselves to not find that. And like you said at the very beginning, it's all about freedom. Dr. Callie, the name of this podcast is Retrieving Sanity, and we explore how living life impacts all facets of mental health. Looking at the incredible motley adventures of your life, what does retrieving sanity personally mean to you, and what is one practice or perspective you believe is crucial for anyone else on that journey?
So retrieving sanity is balance for me. You
Mm.
have to have balance. A lot of people work hard, play hard. That is not a balance. You have to have balance. So you have to listen to your body. You have to listen to what your needs are. If you need sleep, take it. Get off Netflix, get off your phone. If you need magnesium, take it. You know, if you're whatever it is you need balance. You need to feel good. You need to feel comfortable to optimize, to be able to work at your optimal potential. So retrieving sanity for me is feeling balance, and I do balance in the gym. So my sanity, my gym workout, my phone is off. I get 2 hours, my headset's on, just like yours. I have one of those at the gym. I rock it out, and that is where I get grounded and energized, and then I'm sane and ready to go.
Ooh, I love that. Balance and harmony. I think that that's something that we could all look to really balance out in our own lives. Balance the
Yeah,
balance.
absolutely.
Um, well, with that being said, we are at the end of this episode because we do have time slots to not overfill. So, with that being said, everyone out there, thank you for listening to Retrieving Sanity on WDJY 99.1 FM. And this has been Dr. Cali Estes, and this has been Keegan. We will see y'all next week. But remember, you got to love yourself, love others first. Nope, said that so wrong. You got to love yourself, try to love others if you can. Gotta love yourself first, though. And if you're having a mental health crisis, you can dial 988. If you're in the LGBTQ plus community, you can dial the Trevor Project up in Canada, and they will help you out there. Be your favorite version of you. Much love. Sean.